Hi everyone, Councillor Jenny Ellis here, bringing you our second video on the Cultural Precinct Master Plan. As you can see, this video is about finding a site for the new art gallery. In February, we had our consultants visit Griffith and we looked at 12 different possible sites for a new art gallery, and you can see them here. And from those 12 sites, the consultants and our committee chose 5 sites to look at with more detail. And those sites are the showgrounds just overlooking the Willows area, and then the Griffith Regional Theatre, expanding the existing gallery, the tourism hub, and some land right next door to Pioneer Park. Now, with those 5 sites, our consultants put them into a options analysis matrix. And what they did was they scored the sites on all these different points and came up with our top 2 sites. And those top 2 sites are the theatre and the tourism hub. So what they did then was that they drew up high-level concept designs for both of those spots, and I'm going to go through those now. But before I do, just be aware that these are high-level and they are just concepts. They're not the actual plans for these 2 sites. That comes way down the track, but it does give us an indication of how these sites could be used for an art gallery. And the information that they are using and putting towards these plans come from many years of experience, not only in architecture and urban design and landscape design, but also gallery design as well. So these are educated concept designs. Let's look at the first one, which is for Site 2 on their plan of the 5, which is the theatre. The idea with this art gallery is to combine it with our current regional theatre. And what they have done is that they have replaced the theatre's foyer, which has been earmarked as being too small. It's very, very crowded when we have big events. So it's making a very big foyer, taking it over the 2 rows of parking opposite our current theatre, so that we'd just have one road in this particular design in the end. You would have a big foyer, which can also be used for functions and even art classes if you wanted to. You'd have a bar there and you would have a cafe. The other thing about this design is would be to add a black box theatre that has been shown as a need in our community to have a secondary performance space. And this performance space can also be used for the art gallery and art installations, as well as theatre and music productions. And the idea with this one is to build upwards. So the second floor would hold most of the gallery. And you can see here, G1, the smaller gallery room, would be for our current collections that the gallery owns already, like the 200 dresses from our couture collection and our beautiful jewellery collections. The G2 and the G3 are theatres for travelling shows that we might bring, like the Archibalds, for example, that we can no longer house in our current theatre. On this floor, there is also education spaces. You can see them in the beigey yellow colour. And all of those, there's that circulation area, and those rooms are overlooking a void, which would also look down our main street. And there's also room there for storage. The next floor would hold administration offices and more storage as well. And you can see those striped lines. That is still the art gallery there, because they have very high roofs. And you can see that in the diagram on your left, where it shows the very high touring gallery site there in the pinky colour. The next floor, I think, is very exciting. We've got to have a space for all our air conditioning and equipment. And so that means there's room on the top floor to have a function room and terrace. And that's pretty exciting because that's about 13 metres above ground. You get great views from there out to the hills and down our street. And it also provides a much needed function room in our city because we are really lacking those at the moment. And I'll talk a bit more about those when we look at the strengths of this site. The second site, the tourism hub, you can see here it fits between John Darien Ave and Banner Ave. In this particular concept design, they've taken it out the car park and put a grassed area underneath the plane there. And they've also got a sculptural garden down on the southern side of the gallery as well. So that is the big advantage of this one, is that it can be more spread out and have more green space. Fantastic if you've got, for example, mothers groups that want to have picnics or have mother group time there and then come into the art gallery. Great for visitors who have come by bus to enjoy the garden space as well. I'm going to enlarge on this one. There you go. So again, you've got a G1, a smaller space for the gallery designs, and G2 and G3 for our travelling shows. There is a smaller black box theatre that they've put here that could work with a tourism hub as well. There's opportunities for classrooms and even artist studios down there. It's a bit cut off, but that's what those white boxes are at the end, close to the sculptural park on the southern side. And a second floor would have your mechanical plant and store, and also room for staff as well, and storage. And there's also a possibility in this site that you might have underground storage. So let's compare the strengths of the two sites. They are different sites, so you're not going to have, you're not comparing apples with apples here, but you can have a good indication of what the main differences are between two of the sites. They're both fantastic sites, but we as a community need to decide which would suit the needs of our community better. So looking at the first site, the strengths of this one are, one, it creates a arts hub. So dramatic arts goes very well with visual arts, and of course music is associated with the theatre as well. And then you've got the City Band Hall, and they're planning to do some work on their hall in the years to come. So you create this arts hub in this region of Banner Ave. The other advantage is you've got day and night programming, because a theatre is normally run at night and an art gallery during the day. So you get that synergy of them working together, and a centre that is humming at all times of the day. And it means you get crossover visitors too, for both the theatre and the art gallery. Co-location with TAFE, we have already begun talks with the people in charge of TAFE, and there are possibilities in the future that we might be able to work with them, and perhaps bringing some art education to the TAFE that might support this hub here. High visibility and landmark status. Our consultants have pinpointed our work, Walter Burley Griffin's original plans for the town, which included a landmark in this circle up near where we have our theatre and council at present. So this gives us the opportunity to make good on that vision and create this landmark and some interest. The City Function Terrace certainly would create a lot of interest in town, meet a need, and also be a possibility for generating revenue to support the gallery and the theatre. Same with the cafe as well. Here are two opportunities for people to gather, and then in their gathering, they enjoy the theatre and enjoy the gallery, as well as creating revenue. It's great that it is close to the council chambers, and it will draw people who visit the chambers will also be able to visit the art gallery while they're there. It gives us an opportunity to look at refreshing the theatre public spaces and amenities. So our theatre, if you saw our last video, our theatre needs a new air conditioning units and repairs to the roof. Its foyer is too small, and we do need a smaller performance space such as a black box theatre. So this allows us to combine the needs of the theatre and the needs of an art gallery all in the one build. Ownership advantage, we own that land, and so we don't have to pay for the land before building this structure. We've talked about the additional gallery offering in the Black Box Theatre. It's also close walking distance to City Park and the Sculptural Walk as well. Now, the strengths for the tourism hub combined art gallery site are that, well, we have co-location with the visitors centre. So again, you have staffing that can cover both, and it means that our art gallery can be open for longer hours. I didn't mention that with our theatre as well, that is certainly an advantage. Again, you have the additional gallery offering of the Black Box Theatre. Visibility is great because you have the roads, John Darien Ave and Banner Ave, where people come in from Sydney and Melbourne, and so visitors are going straight past this area when they come into our main street. A big advantage is the landscape integration, which we've talked about previously. Having an opportunity for artist studios could be a plus. And having education rooms on the ground floor, not having to go upstairs for those studios, is a benefit to some. This site is a larger site, and there are greater opportunities for expansion. One of the things that our consultants pinpointed were the government buildings right next door to the tourism hub at present that are not particularly full, and maybe down the track a possibility of that becoming a conference centre. We've got the wine appreciation centre that is opening just opposite in the old ambulance building, so there's an opportunity for a whole precinct in that spot there. It's close to the Banner Lane murals, so people can walk through to see those after looking at the art gallery. It's certainly in the centre of a lot of commercial activity, and has and is nearby all those other facilities that I mentioned. And there's also the possibility of underground storage. So if you have a look at those, there's lots of opportunities on both. One is really making use of the arts hub and the synergies that go there. It's building up, which some people like the idea of, and having something very showy and a landmark, whereas our bottom of the street site has the opportunity for greenery and outdoor art and outdoor spaces, and an expanded site. So I think they're the two big differences with those two sites. What we will need to decide as a council is which site is going to be the site. So we really would like to know what your site, the site that you prefer is. The other thing that we will be doing is we'll be looking at feasibility studies and getting some more information about both of those sites to see which one economically makes more sense for us, both in the build and in the running. So as councillors, we're very, very concerned with not just building a great building, but how we're going to finance that building ongoing. And so even if we get funding for the build, we don't usually get funding for the maintaining of those buildings and the staffing of the buildings. So these are all things that we need to look at when we're deciding on the site, and that's what we're going to be doing moving forward. But we do really appreciate your ideas on what you would prefer as our new art gallery site. Thank you.